Welcome to the KDFL Fantasy Football Podcast. It's me, Brett Steele, and joining me, as always, we have Mr. Jonathan Detroit Haynes. How we doing, man?
Yo, doing all right. Glad to be here.
Also joining us, also as always, it's the captain, my captain, Mr. Phil Ruxey. How we doing?
What's up, guys? Doing pretty good. Just waiting to see how my score turned out this week. I haven't looked yet. So.
No need to wait any longer, Mr. Phil Ruxey. Detroit, take it away with our week 4 in the KDFL.
We start out with the Kanawha County Kings on the road visiting the Marmet Midnight Riders, who started out the season 0-3 after being in the championship. Kanawha County Kings might have had a highest scoring of the week for them personally. They got a whopping 34 points out of Geno Smith, 35 out of Josh Jacobs, for a grand total of 241, which is about 40 points over what they projected. But Marmet came out swinging. Justin Jefferson, 31, Debo, 24, Jamal Williams, 24, as they score 282 to 241 as the Midnight Riders finally get on the board with a win.
And next we head to Elkview, where the Reeling River Rats welcome in the South Hills Evil Empire. Damian Pierce puts in 26 for the River Rats. McCaffrey with 26 as well. Cisco, I didn't know he played football. I thought he was just a singer. He scores 20 for the River Rats. Meanwhile, for the Evil Empire, Patrick Mahomes scores 27, Cup with 26, and Kelsey with 24. The Evil Empire stay back on track after losing in week 2 to the Lumberjacks and get the win here, 255 to 226.
All right, we head to Roxalana, where the Renegades are hosting the Owapas Cats. It's the duo of Murray and Herbert combining for 47 that get Hurricane off to a strong start. Local Lions legend and Renegade fan TJ Hawkinson dominated this week out of nowhere against Seattle, scoring 40 of his own. T. Higgins scores 25. Quietly again, the quietest great receiver in the league, T. Higgins. But it's not enough as Clyde Edwards-Helaire scores 22 of his own. And the Wampus Cats get the much impressive victory, 240 to 206.
Next, we have the Zen Masters on the road against the winless Melbourne Mega Powers. Sorry. Or no, actually,
I'm not winless. Start over, you jerk.
All right. My God, we're off to a terrible.
We're going great, boys.
I'm not cutting any of this. We're just going to leave it.
You have
too much cutting.
All right. Next, we go with the winless Zen Masters on the road against the Melbourne Mega Powers. Zen Masters got a huge game out of Mitch Trubisky with 1 point. I'm just kidding there. He did at 1 point. Derek Carr with 11. Looking at this scores, a lot of people scoring about 17 for a total of 222 as the Mega Powers struggled, barely getting over the 200 mark with 204.
All right, and next we head to Cross Vegas, where the Gamblers welcomed in my Wake Forest Lumberjacks. On the Gambler side, Tom Brady scores 28, CeeDee Lamb with 22, and Fournette with 18. Meanwhile, for some reason, I feel like this is the second time this has happened. I had a defensive player lead my team in scoring again, Von Bell with 22, Chubb with 20, and Matt Ryan with 19 somehow, even though he is garbage. Ouch. And apparently I lost 229 to 195. So there you go.
Well, finally, we end in Poca with our game of the week. It's the 3-0 Dobermans coming to town to take on the 3-0 Pharmacists. Miles Sanders leads all scorers for the Dobermans with 30. Josh Allen pours in 24 of his own in a little bit of a disappointing effort considering the matchup was Baltimore and it was supposed to be a shootout. Mike Evans leads the Pharmacists with 30, and Russell Wilson gets back to cooking with 30 of his own. But it's not enough as Joe Burrow puts in 22 on Thursday night to send the Dobermans to 4-0 on the year with a score of 240 to 217. And that is it for KDFL Week 4. We made it, boys. We made it through it.
Ooh.
We got through it. So
good job, guys.
Good job. That is the KDFL Week 4. Now, talking about the NFL that was Week 4, did anything stand out to you guys from this week?
Yes, and it goes back to Thursday Night Football and what happened with the Miami Dolphins and Tua. What in the world? How did they clear him from the week before and then letting him come back out and play? I mean, that's pretty dangerous, talking about a guy's career possibly.
Life, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think the NFL is going to be a lot more strict now. They have to be. So,
yeah.
That was pretty surprising to see that. And then, of course, I have to touch on it. My Detroit Lions. Ooh, they're just – I don't know. I knew that they'd be fun to watch, but they're also so frustrating. You get losing 48-45. Yes, I know they suck coming from the peanut gallery over here at the table. But it was just awful. They made Geno Smith look like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning combined. So – it was awful.
Let me start on the Tua thing. I did see that. I think they're going to pass this maybe as soon as this week. I don't know if they're going to push it through or not. Where if you show wobbly symptoms, or if you anything suspected of a concussion, you're out for the game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no way you can pass. Now I did see this tweet, and it looked awful. I mean, we were talking in Discord. I think the commish said something, and I said something like he's not coming back in week 3. He's just not going to come back in. And he did. And he did come back in. But I did see one tweet, and it did kind of make sense. I mean, it looked pretty obvious it was his head, not his back, like they tried to say. But I did see one tweet. It was like, hear me out. Maybe he hit his head in week 3, covered, passed all the tests, all that stuff was fine. And then he just hit his head again hard in week 4. And it just looks bad because it's back to back. But yeah, he's done. He's not going to play this week. Obviously, immediately cleared. Even if he like calculus everything with his brain, if he could solve everything, rocket scientist, they were not going to let him play in this week. And I don't know if he'll play week 6.
There's got to be some kind of timetable for when you have a concussion like that, like before you can come back. I'm sure there probably is. But I think that they're going to have to make it longer or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, that had to be related to the previous week because that just seemed too much of a coincidence. And he was, he was like wobbly, like really wobbly. So
yeah,
the fingers, dude. The fingers are you can't.
Oh,
that's in everybody's brain. You can't just overlook that. That's pretty much a brain image.
Anything stick out to you, Phil?
I mean, not really. Not other than surprises or disappointments. So we'll get into it in a little bit.
What about the fact that the Packers almost lost to a third-string quarterback at home as 10-point favorites?
I don't feel like talking about the Packers. I don't know what they are this year.
Cowardly coaching.
So,
yeah. The Falcons. We're on the Falcons real quick. Another win, quality win against the Browns. No Watson, of course. But it's 2 wins in a row. Got a game this Sunday in Tampa for the division lead. Didn't think that was even going to be a thing. We'll talk about the thoughts about that game later. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a shellacking, as they say. But happy to be in the position, I guess.
Yeah, I'm also. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I am a little with the Chiefs. They haven't missed a beat losing Tyreek. I thought they would kind of like slow down, but they walked all over that Tampa defense, who we all thought was one of the best defenses in the league.
I think,
but that could be a matchup thing. Sometimes teams match up.
I think I don't think they missed a beat, but I also don't think they're the same team. There's no more. I didn't see moon balls or deep shots being thrown. It was more methodical down the field, using the running backs more. Hilaire looked solid. Pacheco came in and looked strong. Pacheco runs angry, which I'm very excited about since he's a mega power. But you know what I mean? It looked different. It looked smaller. Precision was there. It was amazing. But it looked different in a fine way. It's just a different way to do it.
I mean, I guess, but they're still the 5th ranked offense in the league right now.
Well, yeah, the offense is great. It's just not 1 or 2 plays, though.
Yeah, okay.
You're taking it as a slight.
I am taking it as a slight.
Why are you taking it as a slight? I'm not disagreeing with you.
But even then, 5th ranked offense, that's like a good offense.
I didn't say it was a bad offense. I said it's a different offense.
I thought he was saying that.
Now you're disagreeing with me.
Who am I disagreeing with here? I don't even know.
I disagree with both of them.
The guy. Oh, dude, there's our first preview. The Office guns all pointed at each other. All right. Speaking of being angry for no reason, Detroit, what's you got some gears to grind this week?
Oh, yes. I have in this week's segment of what grinds my gears is I know a certain person in this league is going to be really upset because it kind of took a shot, I think, last week or a couple weeks ago. But I'm tired. I'm glad he got a 60-second home run. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the cut-ins. It's so annoying. Breaking in on college football, breaking in on regular TV. It is dumb. We're talking about a record that's not even really the record. It's just a record for a league. And why are they making such a big deal about it? Because he wears pinstripes. That's why. He plays in New York. If he would play in Kansas City, no, they're not breaking in to report this guy's on a chase to break this record. I'm just tired of it. It's just stupid. I'm sorry. Football here, baseball down here. Are they going to for strikeouts? I broke the American League record for strikeouts. I mean, It's so dumb.
It is, without a doubt, one of the worst takes I have ever heard on this show, full of terrible takes. You don't remember 98?
Every single.
Can't help it. It took a while.
It's not even the record.
It is the record.
It's a record just because it's not
the American League. Right. It is the American League record, and that number on that team is my favorite sports story of my entire existence. Maris Mantle. I watched the movie again last night in memoriam. I'm so afraid that they're going to forget about Maris now forever. And the problem is that they're only going to remember Maris now because of Mantle, which was the whole premise of the stupid movie in the first place.
Brett actually is biased in this one, though. So.
I am so biased in this one. I love that 61 Yankees team. I love that story. And don't get me wrong, I'm not the guy that says that Maris is the actual overall record holder. Bonds has the record. McGuire and Sosa saved baseball. They just did it the dirty way, and Bonds had to follow suit because he probably is the most athletic baseball player of all time, and had to do it to keep up because he saw all the love they were getting.
That's another story. Like Bonds is the record holder for sure.
Yeah, baseball is dead. The only person that cares about are Yankee fans. I'm sorry. No.
What are you talking about? I love baseball.
The Mariners, the Twins, they're not breaking in.
You didn't get the chills with the break-in, like we did in '98 when they broke it with McGuire and they broke it because I don't think we're going to get that again for a long time because of how jacked up the numbers are.
But back then, baseball is more popular than it's not. Baseball is dead.
No, not during the McGuire and Sosa saved it. It was dead then after coming off the strike.
I'm saying brought it back.
Look,
it is dead. I'm sorry.
If Julio Rodriguez was going to break the record, they wouldn't cut into the Mariners?
No.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. Detroit has a mild point here. It is elevated because of the pinstripes, but that's because Maris was in the pinstripes.
But it's still a big record, so they're going to cut in no matter who it is.
No, they wouldn't.
Yes, they would.
They would cut in for this, I think. Because of the number, because of the nostalgia of it. I didn't go to school the next day after McGuire hit 62. Like, oh my gosh, dude, what a time, dude. Watching Sosa and him go back and forth, and he does it against the Cubs, and it all turns out to be, highly inflated, but whatever.
I can't wait to be tagged in Discord by Mr. Reed. Tell him
I think you got more people on your side on this, though. But I don't care if you cut in with history like this, because this is huge. This is history. You cut in, get the Wisconsin getting boat raced by Ohio State. Yeah, cut in to that game. I want to see something that actually matters.
If it's Eastern Michigan versus Akron.
Oh, my gosh. The history, man. Detroit, let me ask you, why is it that they only have room in their hearts for one guy? Quote, 61. All right. There we go.
Didn't they cut in when Cabrera hit the Triple Crown or won the Triple Crown?
Yeah, I don't know the Triple Crown. But he did the home run record last year, or whatever, not the home run record, but he hit 500 or whatever it was. They didn't break in with it.
That's different. That's not a record.
That's 500.
Okay, so what?
But he wasn't arguing for him to do that. Yeah, so it's not really fair.
Yeah.
Detroit wasn't arguing for him to cut in for that.
That's
He's
true.
going to be forgotten about. Everybody watch 61. Great movie. All right. That's a good one.
Go
Hey,
ahead.
that's not a bad little segment.
Everyone go ahead, send me the hate. I don't care.
I
Bring
think
it.
you're going to have people on your side. I think you're going to have a lot of people on your side.
I think there's one person that's going to be really. I can't wait to hear the name calling.
I mean, I'm biased beyond belief. That story is my favorite sports story. Like I said, special place. I love seeing the history come up, the clips of Maris, all that stuff. So
But that's only for you diehards and Yankee fans. No one else cares.
America cares.
No, they don't. Who watches baseball unless their team's really, really good?
I
And
tell you
even
what,
then,
I know
Do you watch every game? No.
we're on a freaking 162.
That's because it's
yeah.
impossible to see every game unless you pay for a subscription.
But also, Phillies. We'll get back to our regularly scheduled football now. But the Phillies are in the playoffs for the first time in 11 years. I forgot. I've had a nice hiatus from the anxiety and stress of playoff baseball. It is the worst. It's the most difficult to watch playoff sport because the game itself is long, right? But the results are one after another. I gotta go get tomorrow. Gotta go get tomorrow. Next day, like, oh god, I'm getting hit. But slowly when I'm getting hit, like it's so weird and it's so stressful. I'm looking forward to it, but
And no lead ever seems safe in baseball for sure. I mean,
yeah, give me a quick death on an NFL wildcard Sunday over this drawn out slow pitch death. All right, we are boys. A quarter through the season, roughly. I mean, 17 games. The math isn't quite exact, but whatever. So we can do a little bit of review, quarter review, a little midterm type thing.
All right.
I want to know from each of you, give me a surprise player and a surprise team. You want to do all teams first and all players, or which way we want to do?
Let's do teams.
All right, let's do all teams first, round robin, and then we'll do surprise players round robin. And then we'll go to the other side because we can't be too happy on this podcast. We got to go down the dark side and our disappointments. So go ahead, Detroit. Give me a surprise team first.
Okay, my surprise team is the Dallas Cowboys. Sitting at 3-1, second in their division after week 1 and losing Dak. Did anybody expect them to roll off with 3 straight wins? Cooper Rush, do we have a quarterback controversy in Dallas? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I thought this team was, after Dak was out, I thought this team might not even win a game until he comes back. The wide receiver core we all thought was just terrible. It probably is kind of still. But they've rolled off 3 wins, and I'm shocked. I mean, they're sitting there second with the Giants because the Eagles look so good. But for sure, that team has definitely surprised me.
Defense cures a lot. Defense can get your backup quarterback through some games, defense is the name of the game there. Oh, Dan Quinn, coordinator for life.
They got a big win against the Bengals that week too. So
huge win there. That was a huge win.
They've handed the Giants their own loss.
That's true. Well, the sentence. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a surprise team that because of the circumstances, not mainly their record, but because of the circumstances that they went through, makes them a surprise team. And the fact that they're winning games for Mike McCarthy, who everybody just already has Sean Payton in that seat. So, yeah. Philip.
Yeah, I think for my surprise, I got to go to the Philadelphia Eagles. They're 4-0. I think I picked them to be around 500 to finish the season.
I have Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So they're not your surprise team, but they're mine, okay? So, they could still fall apart, though. Who knows? But, I think the surprise is they're plus 44 in scoring. They've scored 115, only given up 71. So they've been really good all around, actually, which is somewhat of a surprise, I think. I didn't think anybody would – well, maybe Reed. Talking about Reed again. He probably thought this, but I don't know if anybody else did it. Well, you too, Detroit.
Thank you.
Okay, maybe a lot of people thought it, but apparently not me. So anyways, they're my surprise team.
Typical Phil. I love it.
Snip, snap, snip, snap. I like that. Eagles have definitely been Sirianni wasn't that beloved after the first year. But the only thing I'll say with them is we have to see it versus a premier defense. Like with that Eagles Cowboys game, when we get to that, that's gonna be good times. So, but I mean, you can't deny the improvement there. My surprise team, I gotta go with my beloved, no stress, Jacksonville Jaguars, looking very solid so far, and the team just seems like fun right now. You got Lawrence in the second year, although it didn't look too great last week, but still, Kirk has not disappointed, and he's actually played up to that contract that was astronomical and set the bar high for all these other contracts that we're seeing. James Robinson from the Achilles grave, everybody wrote him off. He's looking phenomenal. He's great when they get the positive game script. And why do they get the positive game script sometimes? Because the defense is playing much better than what we thought. Throughout last week, sloppy game in Philly, great opponent throughout last week, but they're playing much better. I thought Doug Peterson has them rolling in Jacksonville. It's a fun team. It's a fun atmosphere. And yeah, that's my surprise team. Now, Detroit, surprise player.
Oh, surprise player. We're on there.
What do you think we're going to do? Oh, you want a disappointing team?
Yeah.
Let's go disappointing team. Go disappointing team.
Okay. My disappointing team is the Las Vegas Raiders. They had a couple big acquisitions this offseason with Devontae Adams, Chandler Jones. Everyone, I mean, there was a lot of people picking them to win this AFC West. Well, what have they done? They came out losing to the Chargers, the Cardinals, and the Titans. They did get a win last week against the Broncos. A team just looks off. That offense is kind of struggling, I think. But they just don't – something's wrong on that team. Now, it could be the coach, maybe a little Josh McDaniels. That team is just struggling. I was expecting them to be better than what they are.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to go with system on that. I'm going to go with not an easy schedule, not too easy of a schedule to start out. Lost to the Chargers, lost to the Titans. So beat the Broncos.
They're at the Chiefs next, so
yeah. So
could be looking at 1-4.
One thing about them, this isn't really about them, but this is about the statistics that I think people are paying too much attention to, and I think you need to reevaluate. This whole 0-2, 0-3 teams, 0-4 teams have this much % chance to make the playoffs and haven't done it or whatever. I think we're overthinking that, or we're overusing that way too much now. The extra game for one, which will over time will smooth that out. So 1-3 isn't really 1-3 like it was. Also, the extra team that gets in. So I don't care. Like a 1-4 team right now can easily make the playoffs. I don't even think it's that. Or a 1-3 team right now can easily make the playoffs. I don't even think it's that. It's not the death sentence that it used to be. So that's just my soapbox on statistics and how we screw it up sometimes. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah. My disappointment, I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. I'm sure Detroit's happy about that. They're 1-3. I had them in the playoffs, which, like you were just now saying, it's still pretty early, and the extra game could increase the % chance they can make it, I guess. But that's not the disappointing part. The disappointing part is they've scored 140 points, but they've given up 141. So they're scoring a lot of points, but they're still -1 overall.
Number one offense and last in defense.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Something's got to change. I would hope it wouldn't be the offense. I would hope the defense gets a little better. I mean, is that coaching Detroit? I mean, what's going on here?
I just don't think they have the players. I really don't think they have players on that team. They're going to have to address that. They might have the worst linebacking core in football. And yes, I know everyone loves Rodrigo, but when you have a rookie that's like, I can't remember.
That can't be your best.
That can't be your best linebacker.
It cannot be your best.
He's making plays, but, and everyone's like, oh, he's got all these tackles. And I mean, I've seen him some out of position at times and stuff, which is to be expected as a rookie. But you can't have him being your best linebacker. They're just terrible. Besides Jeff Okudah, and I mean, he's been really strong in the defense. Hutch he's been kind of up and down a little, but I also think the way they're using him isn't right. And I heard that they're going to try to start using him a little bit different. So he was double teamed the most when I was like last week or something throughout the season I saw. But still, he should be making a little bit more plays.
It's so funny to me. Dan Campbell, I'm not wrong. Dan Campbell was a tight end, right? When he played. That's what he played. But it just seems like just because how he is, the fact that he's like a brick house, you would think the Lions would be a strong defensive team. It's just how my brain works. This guy, with his energy and his stature, he's going to want to hit people in the mouth and play tough defense. So it's been kind of wild. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. The evidence. Right.
Did he not get out there and play linebacker? I mean, that's what in my mind for some reason.
He gets down there and practice, right? My disappointing team is, without a doubt, right now the most frustrating team so far, the Indianapolis Colts, at a record of 1-2-1. Phil's Super Bowl pick.
It's ridiculous. I mean, what's going on here?
The defense has not played at all as well as it has in the past. Listen here. Matt Ryan has looked awful. He's a fumbling machine. But we were promised protection in Indianapolis. Okay. We watched him get destroyed in Atlanta. Yes, me and Matthew Todd Ryan. We were promised protection in Indianapolis. That's why we sent him there. Okay. We sent him there for like a third rounder. No big deal. We're just trying to give him the gift of life. And it turns out to be an ambush. They can't block anything. It's not just him. Jonathan Taylor looks like crap, but whatever.
Well, there goes my disappointment.
No, that's why I stopped myself. Shut up. Yeah, here's my thing. Frank Reich, he's about to get my Bruce Arians award for why does everybody say you're a genius when you've actually been terrible? Because that's what happened with Frank Reich or with Bruce Arians until he won the Super Bowl. Chris Ballard, some GM genius. I mean, you have Michael Pittman on offense, you have Jonathan Taylor, but the O-line, it looks like shambles now. And Matt Ryan cannot operate under these conditions at his age. We need safety now. And that's what I thought we were promised. So get it together.
But look at this. The Colts have almost scored the Falcons have almost scored twice as many points as the Colts. So is Matt Ryan the problem? I mean,
Mariota can run. Look, Mariota can run. That is the difference. The O-line, which has hardly any upgrades in Atlanta, went from the bottom tier last year with Matt Ryan, with Statue Ryan back there, to now top 10. It's top 10. It's number 8, I think, in the league. And first contact hit, like Cordarrelle doesn't get hit till 5 yards down. When this happened, this line is all of a sudden good. I don't understand it. Mobility, scheme matters. Yeah. All right. Detroit, we're going to switch it up right here. We're going to stay negative since I segued you beautifully. Give me your most disappointing player so far.
My most disappointing player is the player in most fantasy league football drafts, number 1 pick, and that's Jonathan Taylor. Since week 1, where he had 161 yards in that overtime tie, he's had 54, 71, and 42 yards. He's just been disappointing all year. Now he's out. I believe he's hurt for this week. Not looking good, especially for my salary team. He's killing me. So that would be my most disappointing so far this year.
See above for why I agree with you that he's been disappointing and why I agree that the Colts are a dumpster fire. And yeah, Jonathan Taylor, I don't understand it. Get him in space, dump it off to him. They're not hitting him in the passing game at all. He should be a safety valve if Ryan's getting crushed. It hasn't happened. I don't get it. Hopefully he comes back from injury and turns this around, because there is many a fantasy team depending on this guy too. When your 1.1 goes down, when your 1.1 doesn't pan out, and you have to wait till pick 24 in a redraft to get your second pick, it's almost impossible to recover your season. So, all right, Phil, disappointing player.
Yeah, I'm going to stick in the backfield. I'm going to go Naji Harris. This guy in most drafts, I think, was going between sometimes top 5, pretty much top 10 every draft, I feel like. But right now he's not barely, but he's just outside of RB2. He's the first RB3 in points scored in our league. So he is well below expectations, averaging around 12 a game, hasn't eclipsed 75 yards once, only 1 touchdown in 4 games. Just a pretty big disappointment so far.
Wow, I didn't realize he's 28th in rushing yards.
Yeah.
He's a brick wall. He hits a brick wall. We'll see what happens now with Pickett as well. My disappointing player is a Super Bowl champion, Matthew Stafford, who I hope, this sounds weird to say, I hope he's hurt. I hope he's hurt because the elbow, I hope, is going to be a bigger deal than what we thought. It'll explain it some. I don't understand how you lose what? You lose OBJ and Robert Woods, who you didn't have together for that long anyway.
Got Allen Robinson.
You replaced him with Allen Robinson. Like, it shouldn't be this big difference. I mean, maybe just Allen Robinson in Chicago was just a nightmare situation all around. But it's looked awful. It's looked too cup dependent. It's coming off a Super Bowl win, man. Like, it's okay to have a little hangover.
4 touchdowns and 6 interceptions isn't good.
Like, I don't get it, man. So, I mean, we'll see.
I think teams are just they're comfortable letting Cup kind of run the show now. Like, they don't care if he does anything. They're just stopping everybody else now.
He's not getting the explosive get open after the catch plays. If you watch now, he's getting the catch and hit. He's a PPR monster, but that's it. I don't know what his yak has been the last few games. I don't think it's been. I think week 1 he looked solid, but after that, I think it's fallen down. This is just off the top of my head. So, let's see here. Disappointing player. Who did I tell you all my disappointing player was? Oh, I just did it. Surprise player. I just brain lapsed so bad right there, dude. You're a great surprise player, Detroit. I was starting to say, because Phil talked at the end, I was starting it over in my head.
Oh, my gosh.
Surprise player,
one
Detroit.
time, and everybody's confused.
I know. My bad. That's on me.
The guy that is most surprising is the guy who was traded for the guy, your most disappointed player. And that is Jared Goff.
Oh, God.
3rd in the league in yards. 11. He's tied for the lead in touchdown passes. I can't believe I'm saying it. Jared Goff has been solid. I mean, Mr. Fields knows this. He's a big fan of Jared Goff. He always has been. I was a little, I didn't care for it when we got him, but he's been pretty serviceable. And if he keeps this up, the Lions are not going to use one of their 2 first-round picks on a quarterback. I don't think they're going to.
Okay, let me delve into that a little bit because the Falcons are in a similar situation. I want to know your thoughts. This is supposed to be the QB sweepstakes this next draft. Okay, I don't worry about Mariota. He completed 7 passes, whatever. Like he's whatever. He's been okay, but he's not the long-term answer at all. Ritter comes in. Ritter looks okay. It feels like such a Falcons and Lions type move to get a good but not great quarterback that makes you then pass on the chance at some great quarterbacks. So I'm scared of this.
I am too, but the thing is, Jared Goff is still only 27 years old.
It's a great point.
Yeah, and I mean, he's putting up big numbers like last week. I mean, granted, it was against Seattle, but he didn't have St. Brown or Swift. He's just looked solid. I mean, I have to see him do this all year long. I don't want just like a little 25% of the season he does this, and then next 3 games he's terrible, and then 4 games he's really good. I got to see consistency before I'm like, all right, let's just keep this guy.
Not to throw water on the fire, but you also have to keep him on the defense. Like, it does give you numbers that he would not normally have to go get. Like, that was the craziest shootout ever in Detroit this last week. And then, but I'm worried that if Falcons get Will Anderson, fine. And that's awesome. And we're rolling with a great pass rush, but I'm worried. That's so terrifying. It's like good, but not great. And then we screw ourselves. So, dude, Goff's look great though. So, and something to be said about those schemes, the schemes of Shanahan, McVay, those offensive geniuses, they're not easy schemes. And not everybody can do that. I think you might see if Jimmy G goes somewhere else, he looks better too, because he might be able to a better player playing off the cuff and just creating on his own instead of having to have all these timing routes and everything exactly right. This blocking scheme, hot route to this. If this happens, then that. You saw Stafford come to the sideline, and McVay said, "Did you forget? Did you see that?" He said, "Did you forget on that pick 6? I guess he's supposed to hot route. If something goes wrong, he's supposed to drag the 3, carry the 2 times Kosai, and do that instead of what he did."
Phil, I feel like there was a subliminal message there towards our commissioner. He brought up Shanahan, Jimmy G, and he said off the cuff.
I did say off the cuff. Shout out.
That was
think
playing, right? You
Those
playing that, right?
shots were made there.
Yeah, I think the offenses are incredible, but I think it takes a certain quarterback to run them. And I think some quarterbacks, like a Jared Goff, who's more a field player, might thrive in a different offense that isn't quite as scientific, but still good. Phil,
Okay.
surprising player.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think my surprise probably isn't a super surprise. I know a couple people in the league probably thought he was going to be good. I think the circumstances have made it a surprise because he's missed some time. We talked about him earlier, and that's Tua. He's missed a little bit of time due to injury, but he's still a QB1 and has done more than what a lot of QBs have done in 4 complete games. He's ranked 11th in fantasy points, tied for 4th in touchdowns among QBs. His QB rating is the number 1 QB rating among quarterbacks who have had the minimum passes to this point. I don't know. I feel like he's been a lot better than people would have expected. I know people thought he was going to be good, but I think just a lot better than.
I'm surprised. I didn't expect him to be as good as he has. Unfortunately, we're probably not going to see him for a little while.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely surprised me.
Man, if you go from that Falcons game last year when they dropped to 1-7, and that fan base was as done with that man as I've ever seen a fan base done with a player, welcoming Watson, dying for Watson, to now where he's looking solid. Did he have a 6 touchdown game? Like, I mean, he's very, very strong, and I think he's found an offense that suits him, and it doesn't hurt when you have Hill and Waddle. So Tua, I'm excited to see where that progression goes. Expect us, let's just say. My surprise, and this was a little bit of a lesson to myself too. My surprise, Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts. I never knocked him for fantasy production. That is the myth. I don't understand why but he was legitimately. Y'all can say you didn't remember it, whatever. There were rumors that his job was not at all safe in Philly, that they were going to move on from him. That is a fact.
Yeah.
Quarterback 3 on the year, 26 points a game in fantasy. And it's a lesson that players develop and progress. And we just kind of see what we see at the beginning and we write them off. A prime example right now would be like a Zach Wilson. What if he progresses? What if he's just not bad? Trevor Lawrence, like we already wrote him off. Justin Fields. That one feels a little bit more finite because of the crap situation and program that he's in, but and team. But these players progress, and also a lesson in this: if they won in college and they won a lot in a big program, they win for a reason. I remember people passed on Watson. And I was like, this dude won in Clemson. Like, he was a beast. And it translated to the NFL. Jalen Hurts, maybe Tua now. We'll see. Trevor Lawrence, we'll see. But I think we see that initial first season from a player. And we do it the opposite way, too. How long did we wait on Juju to come back? We waited on Juju to be a stud for a long time. Again.
Yeah. I don't think he ever.
Right. It's just not there. Claypool is another good example. Claypool, stud, my gosh, Mapletron. He's in redraft, he's droppable right now. Not in Dynasty, obviously, but in redraft, you could drop the guy. So it's just a little lesson. Don't get so set in your convictions. But Jalen Hurts has progressed. Again, like I said earlier, we'll see what happens when he plays a tougher defense, because that's what happened last year. He hit the Bucs in the playoffs, and it was like a brick wall. Yikes. Didn't have A.J. Brown, didn't have a year under his belt. So it could be a whole different game. But yeah, Jalen Hurts, shout out. Boys, that's it.
All right. Good job.
Besides me for completely forgetting that I already gave my one, we did pretty well there. So next up, are we ready to jump into KDFL week 5?
Yes, we are.
All right, KDFL week 5. Just a little recap of our picks. Detroit, do you want to do that? Or you want me to do it?
I can do it.
All right, roll it off.
All right. Are we talking about our predictions from last week?
Yeah, we got last week and we got the overall.
Yeah, last week I went 4-2. So did Phil. You were 5-1. You and Phil are both tied for second at 13-11 overall, and I'm still in first at 18-6 overall. So still up front, up in the lead by a lot. So
all right. So
only if I could bet these in Las Vegas, but I can't. So
hey, the podcast just hit 25 subscribers. We're growing. It's only a 12-person league and only have so many family members. So make it make sense. We're growing. So eventually this league may be covered in the Vegas books as we go further and further into fame. All right. So KDFL week 5 preview. Same order, Detroit did field and myself, and we will start off with Detroit's team. The River Rats take a little trip down to Nocatee to take on the Zen Masters.
Yes, I was kind of hoping that Matt would have lost last week, so we'd have 2 winless teams. It would have been nice. This week, I have Lamar going against Cincy. Lamar's the number 1 quarterback. I expect him to still score. I'm a little worried about McCaffrey. I don't like how they're using him now. Plus, he's going against San Francisco this week, so that's not good. Singletary's against Pittsburgh. Damian Pierce is also against Jacksonville, who Jacksonville's look good. I finally get Rondell Moore back, so hopefully he can get me some catches because my wide receiver core has been awful besides Mike Williams. Looking over at the Zen Masters, he has a lot of Q's next to his players' names. Derek Carr against Kansas City. I could see them having to score a lot of points, so Carr will throw a lot. Other than that, I'm not too worried, especially when you have Jameis Winston in your lineup. I actually think I'm going to get a win this week, so I'm taking myself.
All right.
Yeah, as you were saying, the Zen Masters have a lot of questionable players this week, so that could be an issue. Most of them are actually on offense, so that could be a big problem. Brees Hall, questionable. He's looked pretty good so far this year. Derek Carr, I think that he's got KC. That could be a high-scoring game, I think. So that could be a bright spot for him. Not seeing a whole lot else other than his defense. I think he may have you on defense in most of the positions. But, yeah, I like Lamar against Cincinnati. He's number 1 for a reason, passing and rushing. Damian Pierce apparently might be the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure about Mike Williams. Well, Mike Williams has surprised me a little bit the past couple weeks because I think he started off really bad in week 1. He
didn't get Keenan Allen, so that's another reason.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go River Rats as well. I think it's going to be close, but, yeah, I think you're going to get your first win here.
Ooh. Looking at it, you already said I like Lamar's matchup with Cincinnati. The key thing for the Zen Masters in more ways than one for their owner's mental health is that Carr has to keep up with Kansas City. That defense is not going to hold Kansas. Is not going to hold Mahomes down. So it's really up to Carr and his new weapons to stay. His new weapon and Adams to stay with him. I know Mike Williams is bust boom bust boom. I think if I'm looking at it right. Yeah, wide receiver 23 on the season. Technically, if we follow that pattern, he's due for a bust here. But that Cleveland matchup is juicy, so I like Mike Williams to have a good game. What about Mike Boone, boys? Let's see what Mike Boone, $150 Mike Boone can bring to the table. But oh no, I have the River Rats getting their first dub. It's a consensus. Nice. River Rats getting the first win in week 5. Lord have mercy. All right. Next up, the Evil Empire take on the Renegades. Go ahead, Detroit. I'll bite my tongue.
Alrighty. I had the wrong game up. So, Rocks Atlanta Renegades 3-1, taking on the Evil Empire 3-1. Man, it just amazes me every time I look at projected total and I see 278 for the Evil Empire. Every single offensive position, he has the edge. Renegades are just hurt all over the board. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's out, Swift's out. So, I mean, there's nothing else to say about this matchup. So, Evil Empire by a lot.
Yeah, I mean, could this be one of the most important games in the history of the Renegades? I mean, this could be a statement game if they could get a win here. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to. As you were saying, I mean, the Renegades are a good team, but across the board, the Evil Empire is just that much better, I feel like. So, I think it's going to be closer than the spread. It's like 50-ish points. I think it's going to be closer than that, but I think the Evil Empire get the win here.
Okay. Obviously, we hit on. He's lost probably his whole running back core that this team was built around in the Renegades with Montgomery, Swift, and Jonathan Taylor. so many injuries, an incredibly insane high projection for 278. And I think this is a Jamar Chase get-right game against Baltimore this week. They've been giving up a ridiculous amount of points. So I actually go a little bit of the opposite way, Phil. I think the Evil Empire, this is a shellacking. It's not even going to be close. They're just going to roll on this team. And here's the thing, though. Glass half full for the Renegades. This would have been the Renegades' biggest regular season matchup, but now they have the injury excuse. So now you don't know, can you beat the Evil Empire or not? That question doesn't have to be answered in week 5. We can maybe revisit that come playoff time, hopefully. So we don't know. So we just take this loss, take the smack on the chin.
This makes no sense.
Yeah. You take the loss, you take the little hit on the chin, and you live to fight another day and wonder what if. So there you go. That's the positivity for some Renegades there. All right, next up, podcast battle. It's the Mega Powers heading north. I don't know why I said that. If anytime I'm on the road, I have to head north to Wake Forest to take on the Lumberjacks, our only unbiased affiliate here, Detroit. Take it away. Give the analysis.
Yeah, looking at the projections, Phil, you're only a 3-point favorite, and I'm looking at this, and I don't even see why it's that small. I just do not like the Mega Powers this week.
Disrespect. Go ahead, sorry.
I'm sorry. Well, you only start one quarterback because you can. We've been over this a million times. Your savior is Mark Andrews, who, what did he have last week? Was it like 2 points or something? 3 points.
So he's due.
He is due. I just don't like it. I like Phil's team. I like Trevor Lawrence, Jones, Chubb, and Robinson. I think Phil wins by about 25 points this week. So I'm taking Phil.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I feel like my team goes as Trevor Lawrence goes. If he has a good week, I feel like my chances are good that I can get a win. I think that's what happened against the Evil Empire. And then, of course, last week he only scored 6 points and I lost. So my first loss of the season, or actually my second loss of the season, he scored another low-scoring game, another loss. But yeah, like you're saying, I think overall I just have a few better players. Not sure about Cooper Rush. I mean, he's a good fill-in, but I don't think he can keep it up every week. So I'm going to go myself here as well. Lumberjacks with the win.
People.
Let me know why I'm wrong, Brett.
Let me tell you why you're wrong right now. First off, Cooper Rush season continues in Melbourne. It's been fun. Mark Andrews had a down week. He bounces back against Cincy. It's Antonio Gibson's last ride coming up, so he's got to go out with a bang. Devontae Smith against Arizona, and Devontae Smith is coming off a weak game. Arizona is probably the worst defense in the league, minus the Lions. So I'll look for points there. Drake London against Tampa Bay's terrible pass defense. Oh, it is so beautiful. Aaron Jones gets the Giants' tough run defense. Nick Chubb, Chargers are usually okay against the run. I don't know about with Bosa out. Whatever. I just need my Texans not to get mollywopped by the Jaguars to have any type of chance against Phil here. And if I do beat them, I think it's going to be defensively. But obviously, in a game this close. Oh, one last caveat. James Winston not at practice today. The Red Rifle. Yeah, Red Rifle. Sometimes I say the wrong one, and it's very bad. The Red Rifle might ride again for the Mega Powers. I have the Mega Powers getting the win. Moving to 2 and 3. Next up, we have the Dogtown Dobermans taking on the Kanawha County Kings.
Yes, this is a rematch from week 2 when the Dobermans won by like 80 points. I don't really have much to say about this. The Kings are the only other winless team besides myself. He does get Kenny Pickett this week, so he can start him. Unfortunately, Gino is playing the Saints and not the Lions this week, so I don't think he's going to have another game like he did last week. So Dobermans are just strong. I think they continue and they stay undefeated.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the spread of this one, it's only 16, and you might wonder, like, why? How is it only 16 when one team's winless and one team hasn't lost? Or one team – no, did I say that right? One team hasn't lost yet. But when you dig deeper, the Dobermans are only averaging 227 a game, and the Kings are only averaging 199 a game. So it could be actually a low-scoring game. I think it might actually be this close, but I think the Dobermans still get the win here.
And poor Tim. I'm telling you what, poor scenes down there in Kanawha County. He had a great performance last week. I think he's finished, what'd you say, second or third in scoring on the week. He just ran into the buzzsaw of the Midnight Riders. The Dobermans have a ton of bad matchups here that I do not love for them. Naji Harris getting the Bills, Rashad Penny getting the Saints. They're pretty solid against the run. But then I see, and Pittman gets the Broncos. Something with Surtain against the pass. The only problem I see, and I love a lot of the Kings matchups. I like Jacobs, so they're going to try to keep up in Kansas City. But the only thing, Olave getting Seattle. The only problem I see is that the Eagles, which the Dobermans have two of, as I already alluded to, get Arizona. I think the Dobermans are going to win. I think it's going to be by the skin of their teeth. I think the Kings have gotten unlucky back-to-back weeks, run into great matches for the Midnight Riders, and barely getting a loss against the Dobermans. But they have to be excited in Kanawha County. The debut of Pickett, we'll see what happens with that. Next, the Midnight Riders and the Pharmacists. Detroit, take it away.
Yes, the Midnight Riders finally got a win last week. The Pharmacists got their first loss last week, I believe, against the Dobermans. Right now, we're looking at about a 26-point spread in favor of the Midnight Riders. I think he's going to make it back-to-back this week. He's going to be able to start Jamal Williams because Swift is going to be out for the Lions. He's also getting Zach Wilson back, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do against Miami. Looking at Pharmacists, Russell Wilson's just been terrible. Do love that Kirk Cousins. Shout out to Keith. So, anyways, I'm still going to take the Midnight Riders this week.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the standings, the Midnight Riders, even though they're 1-3, they're actually it's probably because they're -1 in points, even though they're fourth overall in points scored in the league. Pharmacists aren't too far behind, though. They're only 12 points scored total behind. So I think these teams are, even though the records are the opposite, they're pretty evenly matched at this point in the season. But I do like the Midnight Riders to get another win this week. Rodgers, I feel like, still hasn't got to where he needs to be. I think he's going to get better throughout the season. This could be a good week for that to happen. Eckler's having a good season again. He's got the Browns. That could be a good matchup. Debo, of course, is just Debo. Devontae hasn't.
It's beautiful insight. Debo is Debo.
What am I going to say?
He is going to be himself on Sunday.
He's scoring points. Well, he's not going to be not himself.
He's not going to be someone else.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Tyreek, I feel like has been a surprise in Miami. I don't think people thought he would be as good as he is without Mahomes. I kind of was hoping he was since I traded for him in the salary league. And right now he's wide receiver 3 overall. So he's been really good this season. So, yeah, I'm going to go Midnight Riders over the Pharmacists here.
Okay. My notes for this, Russ had a comeback last week with a near 30 points against the Raiders. But the problem was they were in a have to come back scenario. I worry about Russ, not just for the cringiness and how bad he's looked actually throwing the ball, but that defense in Denver is actually really good. So I worry about him getting a lot of good game scripts for his scoring. The Pharmacists do have a lot of good matchups, though. Kamara getting Seattle, Mike Evans getting Atlanta. Diggs gets Pittsburgh, but I'm worried that they're not going to have to do a lot to beat Pittsburgh in Buffalo. But we'll see. Then I switched to Midnight Riders, and I love these matchups. Hill and the Jets, Debo and the Panthers, and Eckler and Cleveland. I have this one as the Midnight Riders, but I have it written down way inside the spread. I think it's a nail biter, probably within single digits that the Midnight Riders get the win. If you're keeping track at home, we've only disagreed on one pick so far, and it is my beloved Mega Powers. But I digress. Now, final game of the week. It is the Gamblers taking on the Wampus Cats. Detroit, take it away.
Yeah, a surprising Wampus Cats. We got like you said, 2 3-1 teams going here. Tom Brady taking on your Falcons. For the Gamblers, also Fournette. Look, he's starting Bailey Zappi. How do you say that? I don't even know what to mispronounce it like I always.
Feet, I can't believe you got it right.
Wow, awesome. Who is taking on the Lions, so that could be a really good matchup for him. Even though I probably think the Patriots will just run it down the Lions' throat. Looking at the Wampus Cats, Murray against the Eagles, that's going to be tough. J.K. Dobbins is questionable. St. Brown in his lineup. I would not be surprised if he doesn't play again because the Lions have a bye next week.
Yeah.
So they might try to get him another day's rest or another game's rest. So just for that, even though the Wampus Cats are favorite, I'm actually going to go with the Gamblers this week.
You mean to tell me that the Roxanne Renegade Lions are hurt to hell this week and then have the Lions bye week next week? Oh, shout out Renegades. All right, Phil, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it really is crazy how much Bailey Zappi looks like Mac Jones. I mean, they literally are the same person. It's insane. Like, how could they be on the same exact team, play the same exact position, and look exactly like each other? That is just – the odds of that are impossible. Yeah, I like the Wampus Cats, but I think I really think Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be a big injury if he's not able to play in these upcoming weeks. I mean, I think he's a really good receiver. He's putting up a lot of points when he's playing, so I think that could be a big problem. Kyler Murray versus Philly, that could be a problem too. Their defense has looked really good this season. I don't know. Is Tom Brady going to go off though this week? With the stuff that's happening. He's got the Falcons too, so I feel like he's good against the Falcons, right? I mean,
allegedly.
Allegedly.
He may be undefeated.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So he's had a few good games against them.
7.
7. Oh man, this is actually a tough one. I feel like I want to go Wampus Cats. No offense to Nick, but I'm gonna go Gamblers as well. I think they're gonna get the slight upset here.
The man says no offense to Nick, and then picks him. A truly.
Well, no,
I
did you hear what I said before that?
Yes, I heard you said that.
I said I want the Wamp. I want to pick the Wampus Cats.
Snap. Oh, I love it.
Snap,
I got you.
Do you know the toll?
Do you know the toll that 4 picks of one game takes on the person? All right.
It's just too many. Okay.
Gamblers. Look, I'm terrified. I'm about 90% sure I'm going to be at this game. Brady's going to go off on the Falcons. We're going to get served up like Thanksgiving dinner, like I always love to say the league does to the Falcons. Which he has Brady with that. He has Fournette with that. Wampus Cats, I do like that Dobbins. I don't know why he still has the Q tag. He should be a full go. That's what my sources tell me. What will Zappy do, dude? The question everybody wants to know. What will Zappy do? But here's my thing. I think the defense wins this for Cross Vegas, and I don't think defense is ever properly figured into the projections. It's pretty much an impossible thing to do when we see these projections. So I'm going to go with the Gamblers getting the win. That means we have exactly 1 pick different. It is my Mega Powers this week. Absolutely amazing. So there it is, the KDFL Week 5 preview. Now, let's break down our locks of the week and our upsets.
I got it.
Okay, roll with it.
Well, we all went 1 for 6 last week. You were the only one that hit with your upset, so you got a couple of points there.
King.
So Brett is now in the lead with 5 points. I have 3, and Phil with 1 point. We're doing so good at these guys.
Yeah.
So once again, just fade our picks, and you'll be rich.
Don't fade my upsets.
So this week, my lock of the week is the Patriots against the Lions, -3. I hate going against my Lions like this, but that defense is just terrible. So, and my upset is the Jets getting 3.5 points. And that is all I got. And Brett, you suck.
Thank you.
Yeah, my lock of the week, I'm going to go Packers, giving 6.5 at home to the Giants. I think the Packers are going to get it going. Hopefully. My fingers are crossed that they'll look like the Packers. Because we all know what the Packers are. They're the Packers. Like Debo's Debo, the Packers are the Packers. And my upset, another team I hope is going to get going, because of my Super Bowl pick, is the Colts getting 3 at home versus the Broncos. They're not going to have Taylor probably. Oh, well, they're not going to have Taylor. But I still think they're gonna win this game. So that's my upset.
Nice.
Phil, your pick was the Packers minus 6.5, right?
That's correct. Yes.
What was your pick last week? Just remind the people. Do you remember your pick last week?
Was it the Packers again?
Packers minus 9.5 versus the Pats.
Okay.
All right.
There you go.
All right.
That was unintentional. I totally forgot last week. That was a long time ago. I can't remember that far back.
There's 2 things we learned about old Brett Steele this last week. I absolutely am the worst at betting totals of games. I can never get it right. I don't understand how people do. So we're gonna in week 3 we quit betting on the Falcons games that Falcons are involved in. So we've cast it up. Now we're gonna pledge to stop betting on totals. So the other thing we learned is I am the upset master. I do not miss. But for the lock, we'll go Niners minus 6.5 going to Carolina. You give me Shanahan versus Matt Rule. You give me that offense versus a Baker-led offense. I don't see how this isn't near. I thought this would be 10.5, honestly. So give me the Niners walking away there. And then Detroit, for shame. My upset of the week. It's the Matt Patricia revenge game. He heads back to the D with his high-powered offense led by Brayley Zappi. It's going to go terrible. You're going to tell me that they're lying? Oh, it's in New England? Okay. It stays home. But you're going to tell me point remains. That's right. I knew it was in New England. Point remains. You're going to tell me that there's players on the lines that were victimized by this poor idiot, Patricia, are not going to be fired up to lay the whooping down on them. Give me the Lions getting the W. That is it. Right. That is it. Season 4, episode 5 in the books. For Jonathan Detroit Haynes. For Captain Phil Ruxey. I'm Brett Steele, and we will see you here next week right here on the KDFL Fantasy Football Podcast.